Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. An unprecedented situation is developing in India. Today, on Saturday, since morning, 20 flights have received bomb threats. Now, these are hoax bomb threats, but an SOP has to be followed by those flights. They have to take precaution, they have to move to a safe place and carry out that drill. But this is not just today. For the last many days, these bomb threats are coming in. Over the last few days, about 40 flights have received bomb threats. Well, to discuss this, we're joined by Group Captain Augustine Vinod. Welcome to show, sir. I wanted to ask you to begin with. Have you ever seen such a situation ever that there is so many bomb threats in just a few days?
No, I have never seen, but it's a very, very important aspect that we are trying to demystify today. Not only Zafarbai for the general public awareness, but also for people who are looking to take decisions. Like today, I believe all the CEOs of airlines have been called to Ministry of Civil Aviation for a meeting, and they are trying to put their heads together to find out what we can do. So maybe they will also watch it, and people in powers also will watch it to take some leaves out of what we are going to discuss today. Very, very
Right.
important discussion this is going to be, and even this episode.
These are hoax bomb threats, but the point is that every time such a threat comes in, the pilot, the airline has to follow a standard operating procedure, which means that going to a different destination, parking the flight, then an operation, a search operation would be carried out, then the passengers, they have to be moved to a different place, they have to, another flight has to be organized for them. Time gets wasted, resources get wasted. These threats cannot also be taken lightly. What is the SOP that is generally followed when such a threat comes in?
It's a wonderful question. Um, Jafar Bhai, and for you as well as for our viewers who are watching. See, civil aviation has a different set of rules, which is led by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO बोलते हैं उसको. So, because aeroplanes fly from A to B and not necessarily in your country, like AI
Right.
129 got the hijack threat call not over Indian soil. It had just
Right.
got an airborne from London, bound for Mumbai, over somewhere close to Germany. It got the hoax call.
Right.
So it's a very complex game that one needs to understand. So, the International Civil Aviation Organization uh, puts forth a certain protocol, which the member states. We are also one of the member state of International Civil Aviation Organization. ICAO की member state है. So we then every country now puts out a rule in consonance with the protocol given by the ICAO. ICAO by themselves do not put the rule. It is the
Right.
rule of the state that is applicable. In
Right.
some cases, the member states certain rules may be in violation with already existing rule for which the member state is responsible to modify that existing rule so as to cater to this rule. Else, they tend to forfeit the membership of ICAO, which means their aeroplanes cannot fly abroad and abroad aeroplane cannot land there. ऐसा situation
Right.
आज की तारीख में किसी कोई भी country, no country can afford that. So
Yeah.
willy-nilly, what it says is ICAO has to lead it. I'll give you a few examples as we go along. So it's very, very important that viewers understand how complex this situation is.
Right.
And today we are at the receiving ends of our buy. Tomorrow it could be Canada.
Right.
Day after it could be US. Day
Right.
after it could be Germany because the same problem is applicable to them if it happens
Yeah.
against their carriers.
Right.
So it's very, very important that this issue is addressed. When we see some examples, people will understand.
Right. And is it something that is only happening in India, or other countries also are facing sort of a similar
Uh,
situation or they have faced a similar situation in the past. Why I'm saying this? Because there can be lessons that can be drawn how to deal with this. We are living in an age of social media, of communication. Things cannot be stopped. It is very easy for anybody to send a threat through social media or through other means. So, what I'm trying to understand, is it very India specific, or other countries are also have encountered such a situation in the past?
What happened is, in some cases, Zafar Bhai, bomb threat became a reality. A very prominent such event happened in Chennai when someone gave a call that there is bomb in this flight and are heading towards this flight, and people didn't take it seriously. Actually, turned out to be that the caller was giving correct information and the bomb exploded. But
Right,
thankfully, since the flight was delayed, bomb exploded in the we call it the BMA, the
right,
baggage maintenance area. That is where it exploded. And for the sake of viewers, I must tell you here, though, on the screen it says group captain, which means I am an ex Air Force officer and an
yeah,
ex fighter pilot. I'm
yeah,
also a current captain who's
yeah,
regularly flying in most of these routes, including India and
right,
abroad. I'm a
right,
current captain and a current DGCA approved air accident investigator.
right,
So I am not someone who's not connected with the reality today. I'm
right,
connected with the reality because I am the man on the job.
right,
I'm the man who's, when called upon, will do the inquiry. So that has the background. With that as the background, I'm saying this. So some cases, this has become a reality. In the 70s and 80s, most of the bomb calls were real, and aeroplanes were taken to isolation bay. They exploded. Many such cases when we were, you and I, when we were young, हमने
yeah,
उसमें देखा था. During
right,
in the PLOs used to do it. And,
yes, yes,
very often we
yes,
used to see the
right,
news channels which were just starting. I think that time we had only
yeah,
the DD news. We have
yeah,
seen all this. But
right,
today, most of the time, it is becoming a hoax. That is, there is a reason to that. Why a real bomb threat today is placing a real bomb inside an aeroplane today is very, very difficult. But it cannot be say taken lightly. Every threat has to be looked at within the existing SOP, which is what needs to change.
right. And also, so to understand the whole thing, that if a bomb threat comes in, then an SOP is followed. Obviously, that as rules are laid out. But it also involves a lot of coordination. The pilot is in the air. He has to communicate, or she has to communicate with people on the ground. And then, like we heard last time, that there was an emergency, then fighting equipment has to be brought in. There are other arrangements that have to be made. A bomb disposal squad have to be brought in. How does that coordination happen in real time?
It's a wonderful question. In fact, is on this question, let me give you um, an example. Okay,
Yeah,
not many people are aware. Earlier, in the 70s and 80s, even down to 90s, hijack was not a big uh, offense. Not many people are aware. Hijacking an aeroplane, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं थी.
right.
There were 90 hijack attempts from Cuba to United States in 1 year.
Yeah,
90, 90. We are nowhere close to the bomb hoax today.
right,
Cuba said they used to get airborne, land at United States in some base in Florida or somewhere, in New York. Pilots used to come out and ask for asylum.
right,
And they were given asylum.
right,
In 1993, I mean, when you are on your prime of
right,
reporting and journalism, in your
right,
1993, 50 hijack attempts were there, 50.
right.
But today it is not there. Why? That is the that is a very beautiful example I wanted to tell you. See, so now lot of new things have come. Technology has come. Uh, Earlier, whatever the loopholes were there in the system, they all have been plugged.
Right.
The Nirja, that hijack, if you remember, the weapons came from the food truck, not from the normal gate, from the side gate.
Right.
Wahan pe it was, the things were little lax. Today it is not. Today anything that you see in the airport being sold, whether it is food items, whether it is any kind of items, everything goes through an X-ray check, not just tertiary
Right.
check. Everything goes through X-ray. That happened post this hijack protocol.
Right.
Today, if you are on a connecting flight, I'm sure many of you must have also traveled in which you didn't get down from the flight. Say it
Yeah.
was going from Delhi to Ranchi and it was landing at
Yeah.
subway, say Bangalore. You were sitting in the flight itself. Somebody came and checked your boarding pass, the repeat check of your boarding pass.
Yes.
All bags today are on the overhead bin in this connecting flight are identified to you. If it is unidentified, that bag is taken out. So even if you've gone to the washroom or somebody and you're traveling alone, you have to tell that this is my bag. Otherwise, that bag gets offloaded. Today, if you take a ticket, you check in a baggage, you don't travel, you don't show at the gate. So it is called gate no show passenger. Earlier, it was not
Right.
like that. Earlier, you can buy a ticket, go to the airport, check in your baggage, go close to the gate, and say for some reason you don't board, you slept off, or you went to a bar, had two
Yeah.
extra drinks, or you were buying something and you didn't notice the time and the aeroplane left, your
Right.
bag was gone. Today
Right.
it cannot be like that, because if you don't show at the gate, it is called gate no show passenger, which
Sure.
means if you have come into the aerodrome but you have not come to the aeroplane, your bag has to be taken out. So
Right.
someone goes inside the bag luggage compartment, looks for your bag, takes the bag out.
Takes it. Right.
That is why the
So
lockup
that's
incident.
that's that's
Remember?
very very important what you are saying. The points
No,
that you put
I'm just
across.
Zafar bhai, I'll just
Yeah.
30 seconds. I'll just complete it. So the loophole in the procedure was identified by a group of people who found out why the hijack is happening so successfully, and they were trying to plug this hole. Similarly, in this bomb threat, if you notice, maybe one juvenile's example people keep giving, but rest of the bomb threat, where is it coming from? Today, Zafar Bhai, so anybody with a Twitter account sitting anywhere in the world can generate a bomb threat against an Indian carrier. You can do nothing
Right.
because he is not in
Yeah.
your jurisdiction. Neither is
Right.
he ever going to fly any of your aeroplanes. He is
Right.
sitting in, say, some Timbuktu. He
Yeah.
never has boarded an aeroplane. He will never board an aeroplane. He can just put a tweet that the Indian bound flight so and so is has a bomb, and you will have to do something about it.
Right.
But how will you go and catch him? Under Section 353 of Indian, Act, uh, which is now called the BNS. How will you book
Yes.
him? He is not your citizen, and neither is he
Right.
ever going to fly. उस तिम्बकतु
Right.
में उस छोटे से गांव से वो कहीं हटने ही नहीं वाला है. What will you do? Therefore, that is what
Absolutely.
I've been trying to say this for a while. Therefore, it has to be an international protocol in which all these things have to be gotten, and every member state has to take stringent action.
Right.
Today, it is Indian carrier. What if some
Tomorrow
Indian
can.
kid sitting in Uttar Pradesh or Bihar or Jharkhand or Kerala or wherever puts out one tweet that Canadian carrier mein falane mein there is bomb, dimkane mein there is bomb. Canadian carriers will get affected. Indian carriers are so many that is why we are not feeling the pinch.
Right.
What a very small
No,
carrier
you
in
with
Gujarat gets.
the points that you have put out are very interesting and very you get a lot of knowledge by hearing to what you're saying. That initially in the earlier days, many years ago, it was not considered such a big crime. This is a very important thing that you said. And also that the no show at the gate, even if you are there and you don't show at the gate, somebody goes to the aeroplane and physically takes out the bag of that particular person and is taken out. So those are all the things that have been done to plug those gaps to ensure that such things do not happen. But have we ever heard, have we haven't perhaps heard so much that people are actually punished? There is something called as a deterrent. People are punished, and that puts as a deterrent, and then such things are stopped to an extent that we haven't heard much of.
So that is what I was saying. What is today applicable, in my opinion, and in my little study, is only Article 353. That is spreading of false
Right.
information, and
Mm.
certain sections or certain aspects of UAPA. Now, UAPA
Right.
is also not fully applicable, because if someone
Yeah.
gives a hoax call, and without any background of terrorism behind him,
Yeah.
how can you put him under UAPA? Well, this is applicable only to Indian citizens.
Right.
What if some Tom who's sitting in Canada, or yeah, any other place, is putting out the information? That is the issue which the DGCA, Ministry of Civil Aviation, needs to sit with International Civil Aviation Organization and come out with a solution which will not affect anybody, not only our Indian carrier.
Right. And I was reading those reports that perhaps people will be put on a no fly list. I don't think that is enough. Perhaps in an age of social media and communication, as you were saying, somebody sitting at some place can issue a threat for some carrier in some other country. How are they going to deal with it? It's a challenge. Obviously, there have been some steps that have been taken to plug those loopholes, to plug those gaps, but still a lot may be needed to be done in a changing environment where there's so much social media, so much communication. But for the moment, it seems like a real crisis, a big crisis for people flying on those flights, for those who are actually driving those flights, the pilots, the staff, the ground staff. It will be no less than a nightmare for everybody. Perhaps this issue need to be taken more seriously. 20 warnings in one day is not a small thing. But we'll have to leave it here. Augustine, Vinodji, thanks so much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts. We'll keep coming back to you and we'll keep tracking this story. Thanks for joining.